Hello, Adam. It's episode 100. What a historic event.
Woo! Yeah, 100. Who would have thought?
No me.
Nah.
You know, Adam, Rascal Flatts once sang, "Life is a highway, and I want to ride it all night long."
Oh.
And when it comes to the temple and Lucha Underground, Katrina is my highway. Oh, shit. Wait. No, what I was meaning to say was, this episode we'll be discussing Prince Puma and Johnny Mundo going at it all night long.
Okay.
And I'll be damned if it was another Lucha Underground banger for us.
Oh.
In the form of 45 minutes of just pure athleticism.
Yeah. Wasn't sure how that would work, but we'll get to it. And yeah, spoiler alert, pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this week we are on episodes 29 to 32. We're almost at the end of the season. Things are shaping up nicely. Storyline-wise, everything's merging together into one slipstream of Dario Cueto's mischievousness.
Yep.
We'll get to it, but he's announced a sort of annual event that's going to be called Ultima Lucha. That we're aiming towards for the season finale, and it's really full steam ahead as far as all the different storylines that we've been watching over the last 7 weeks, I think it is, that 7 episodes that we've been on.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
I was a little worried that we jumped the shark, and I made you aware of that. There was some stuff that I wasn't massively happy with in episode 30, but it definitely pulled it back, which I was very relieved of.
Yeah, it's all going to be fine.
Didn't want to come in episode 100 moaning.
Yeah, no. I mean, if we'd covered WrestleMania as a special for episode 100, then...
There might not be an episode 100. Just two 40-something men moaning about whoever Travis Scott is and what is he doing, why is he, and why.
Yeah. Let's not worry about that. Not our problem.
If we're ever feeling particularly angry or angsty, we could dedicate an episode to The Rock, just generally. Nah, Big Dwayne?
Nah.
Okay, right, so we're just going to episode 29. Do we want to I think we did a recap the last time. I think that was quite helpful. Do we want to do a very quick recap of where we are and generally where things are? I'll leave it to your fine self then. Yeah,
so we've trying to think where one episode left and where the next one started. But anyway, we know that we're going into a situation between Prince Puma and Hernandez. So Hernandez has become number one contender. He's going to be going up against Prince Puma. We have seen the heel turn of Johnny Mundo. Him very aggressively, violently taking out Alberto El Patron after losing to him in a match along the way to trying to get to the number one contendership. We have had we had the indication that Mil is coming back? We know that here.
Yes. In the last episode that we watched, Katrina had sort of manipulated Dario into a death match.
Yes,
with Phoenix.
That's right. Yeah. We have had Drago lose his title opportunity and leave. We'll get back to that in a little while. We have had this story with Black Lotus being trained and then deciding really upon herself that it was time to come to the temple and try to get revenge on what is Dario Cueto's brother for the death of her family. We have had Chavo saying that he will basically look after her. He will watch over her, but obviously we should know that nobody can really trust Chavo. What else have we got on? We've got the crew having disappointed Dario, and obviously there's going to be consequences for disappointing the man, and they've been sort of pre-warned about that. Yeah. We still have a situation where we've got our dysfunctional trios champions as well. We've got Son of Havoc. Prince of Havoc? Yes. Son of Havoc, Ivelisse, and Angelico?
Angelico.
Yeah. As the Trios champions, sort of against all odds type team. Anything I've missed?
Only thing extra would be Pentagon Jr. and his quest to break arms for his master, and he's got involved with Sexy Star, and she's doing it for the women and all that shit.
Yeah. So yeah, that's generally where we are in the landscape at the temple. So when we start off episode 29, we get a recap of the storyline with Katarina, Mil, and Phoenix, all leading to this death match that is going to be coming up later today. We get coverage of the situation between Prince Puma and Hernandez, which we've touched upon, and Black Lotus we see arriving at the temple. Chavo is trying to convince her to get her revenge inside of the ring. Chavo was there when her parents was killed, and says the Guerreros hate the Cuetos as much as she does.
Did he say that he was there? Did he say his uncle was there?
Maybe he said my uncle was there. Yeah. Maybe it was the Guerreros were there.
Matanza?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you not think he's...
Nah. We tonight, on this episode, we are going to have a double main event. We are going to have Prince Puma against Hernandez and Mil Muertes against Phoenix in the death match. Quite a stacked card for the night. Indeed. We are going to kick things off with the first match of the night. It's going to be Aerostar against Johnny Mundo. We obviously touched upon there. We've had a bit of a heel turn from Johnny Mundo. We get some chat about how Aerostar maybe got the better end of the deal in losing his series to Drago, who is now kind of not at the temple anymore,
banished,
and potentially burned to a crisp. We'll find out. Vampiro is speculating that Johnny's arrogance has a different feel to it now. Now, he's always very, very keen to point out he's always been arrogant. That hasn't really changed. But I became curious to see how the crowd were with him, because sometimes the crowd have loved a heel based on what we've seen so far. But he's getting a bit of a heel reaction here. They're booing. I think maybe a lot of Alberto El Patron fans in this crowd. So yeah, they're not happy with Johnny right now.
He definitely fights differently in this match.
Yeah, he's quite rough, and I think they talk about him doing quite a lot of ground and pound type offense. He's got the guy on his back, he's unloading shots on him and things like that, stamping on him, that side of things. That Johnny's
fierce.
doing a bit of. Now, some of the crowd do like it. Some of the crowd are cheering for it because it's something that they're always going to gravitate to when it's done, I think, in the right way. Get Aerostar catching some, I've got written, crazy hang time on a leap over the ropes onto Johnny on the floor. Johnny you talked about him being a bit heelish in the ring. He's also got kind of a, why am I having to be in the ring with this guy attitude on the go throughout this match, which I quite liked, because it's all part of his story arc. It's not it's not like we're not meant to notice that. Johnny just every time he takes him down, Aerostar will get a little comeback. Johnny will end up taking him down. And again, more ground and pound. Goes for the end of the world, but Aerostar grabs his leg before he can climb the ropes. Quite like that. Just a little wrinkle on that. But it seemed to infuriate Johnny, who just starts beating him down in the corner. Johnny then hits a Northern Lights slam and then hits the end of the world. He gets the win, and the crowd are fully booing this heelish version of Johnny Mundo.
He seems to be relishing that.
Oh, yeah. Be quite good fun for him, I would think. We are going to go to Vampiro speaking to Sexy Star and asking about the Pentagon Jr. situation. Vampiro seems to be sort of accusing Sexy Star of letting Pentagon break Superfly's arm. She does confess that they haven't spoken to each other, but she kind of puts that on, well, he's going through the recovery process. They reflect on the win she got over Pentagon Jr., but we hear Dario Cueto has confirmed there's going to be a rematch. Again, Vampiro, he's doing the thing that he does in interviews, but he's really laying into her, but now calls her an idol and shakes her hand. I think Vamp's got some issues.
Yes.
We are going to go into the title match. We are going to go to Prince Puma defending against Hernandez. I'm clearly a bit cynical as I've written this. Konnan still in the corner of Prince Puma for now. We've got Prince Puma trying for a very fast start in this match. Hernandez slowly but surely getting a foothold in the match. Announcers are doing their usual. Match strikers talking about the benefit of having Konnan in your corner, all the learnings, the help you can actually physically give out there when it's needed. Vamp always pretty dismissive of that, always keeping the beef alive for the situation between him and Konnan. Konnan, part of his advice seems to be shouting from the side that he's to let Hernandez blow himself up because he has no conditioning.
Yep.
Hernandez at a point in the match just starts throwing Prince Puma around, just starts absolutely manhandling him, ragdolling him, just chucking him around. We get Hernandez with I've got written a backbreaker. He's got Prince Puma on his back and drops to his knees. And then we're kind of at a stage, we go into a stage in the match where Hernandez is dominating for a period of time, and it's Prince Puma comebacks, but Hernandez kind of keeps catching him with power moves. Hits a big power bomb on him for a 2. We've got Hernandez barging Puma with a tackle, knocks him up and over the ropes. Konnan gets up on the apron, starts berating Hernandez. The entire time I'm waiting for the Konnan turn because it just feels inevitable in the match. I think there's, by this point, speculation from Vampiro that Konnan's just going to leave with whoever has the belt. That's going to be his plan because that's his meal ticket. I felt like I was listening to some commentary from like the late 80s talking about Bobby Heenan being a manager on the outside. The ref stops Konnan. Hernandez does his big leap on the outside, but Prince Puma has a chair ready in hand and smashes Hernandez in the head mid-flight. Oh, that's going to ground the big man. But clever play from Coach Konnan there. Puma with a handspring, leap over the top onto Hernandez. Hernandez slowly but surely gets himself back in it. Big border toss on Prince Puma to the edge of the ring apron, which
horrendous.
Looked pretty sore.
Yeah.
Hernandez catches a running Puma, throws him. Puma lands on the guardrail and leaps backwards off it onto Hernandez. We have Prince Puma with a rolling splash off the ropes for a 2. And then he thinks he has Hernandez in position for the 630 splash. Hernandez manages to roll out the way. Hernandez does that like face first Samoan drop thing.
I think they call it a bow slam.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah. And Hernandez catching Puma, hitting another power slam. Hernandez leaps off the top, but Puma gets his knees up. We've got some brutal kicks, including a stomp style kick by Puma for 2. They're fighting on the turnbuckle. Puma fights, kicks Hernandez off and down, and this time Puma does manage to hit the 630 splash, and he retains.
Yeah, surprised it was a clean win. Yeah. Really surprised it was a clean win. I thought something would have to happen.
I did wonder if there was going to be a point where Konnan gets himself in a little bit of trouble. Like, he he goes to help Hernandez and it doesn't work out and Puma retains, and it's like questions coming from
awkward.
that.
Yep.
Maybe not obvious whether he was trying to help him and could be speculated on, but it didn't really go that way at all.
He kept his hands clean.
Seemed to be fully in Prince Puma's corner the whole way, and he's no reason to turn now because his the guy he walked in with kept the belt.
Puma is legitimately like, he's not. Sometimes, and we've seen it a million times, people win the title and you kind of feel like they're not the right man, and they get shoved down your throat. And we're probably 30 something episodes into this, and Puma's been champion the whole time, and you would think that at some point that becomes a little bit mundane. But every single time he wrestles, he shows up, and puts on an incredible show. And they've had him against like small luchadors, fast guys, big powerful guys in Cage and Hernandez, and every match is amazing. Yeah.
And it's never. I don't know if it's partly because we don't see him on every show. It tends to be, we'll see him here and then we might not see him for a couple of episodes. But I think that maybe helps rather than if it was on every show, and if it was your longer style show, maybe you'd get a bit sick of it. It works here, I think, and I definitely didn't think when they first introduced the title that we would be this far down the line and only one champion so far. I think we speculated at the end of the last one whether we thought anyone else would win the belt before we close out season 1. I think I said I went for Cage.
Right. I can't remember what I said.
I think
Mundo, maybe
went Johnny.
Right, aye.
Yeah. But yeah, he may make it all the way through. He's edging closer.
Yep. Well, we'll need to see what Ultima Lucha brings.
Yeah. So we're going to go into the second part of the main event, which is going to be the death match.
So we, just before you go into it, we talked about death match the last time. I know what your views are on that sort of type of wrestling. Yeah. Not positive towards it, fair to say. Yeah. I remember we talked about it. You said, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. We've always given them. Yeah. They've always delivered. They've never let us down on this show so far. And this was like a perfect death match for us, I would say, as far as whatever a death match may be. This was good for us.
Yeah, I didn't have the fear of, all of the glass and things like that. I didn't think they would go down that kind of route like what we've seen with some death matches. So yeah, sort of happiness, relief, all of those feelings as we're going through this. So yeah, Fenix going up against Mil Muertes, the returning Mil Muertes, and Katarina.
He's got rid of his jammy bottoms.
He has, yeah.
He now looks like a genuine badass.
Yeah, it's a scary man.
His sort of leather black trouser get up.
Yeah.
A black mask as well. He looks a bit different, doesn't he?
Yeah. Now, right from the start, we're going to see Katarina and Mil coming down towards the ring, and these wee like ghoulish type guys that we'd seen. We have a clip of them the last.
Yeah, remember they appeared on top of Phoenix's locker.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure about this, but we'll keep going because obviously big respect to what Mil Muertes offers us and Katarina, obviously. But yeah, not quite sold on this.
No, I think it's the masks.
Yeah,
the masks are a little bit like 99p in the in the local store sort of thing.
Yeah. So we're going to start the match. I believe that it's said on commentary that these guys are souls of the dead or something like that here. But more on them a little bit later. Fenix is trying for a fast start in the match, but just like bounces off Mil. So we've seen and we've noticed before. Mil is quite the specimen. He's a big guy. He's built. He's just about as wide as he is tall. Yep,
real jack baby.
Yeah, and every time Fenix is trying to get something fairly fast paced going, he's running into some trouble. Tries to fly and just gets knocked down, almost like swatted down. they're giving us a little bit of a description about what a death match is, but just seems to be a match where the pinfall or submission has to happen in the ring. I think that's what they say early on in the commentary. We've got Fenix again trying to speed up, but just runs into, gets caught and runs into a big power slam from Mil Muertes. After a few minutes, Fenix gets something going. We have a big leaping head kick on Mil as he's on the ropes. We've got a springboard onto Mil on the outside, and a camera guy goes down hard.
Yeah.
But there's just kind of this Mil isn't taking any shit anymore type thing going on.
100%. It's not like campy, he's like Michael Myers type thing either, is it? It's like, nah, fuck this.
Yeah, I'm just going to beat the shit out of you. I've had enough. I'm not playing anymore. And he just starts clubbing Fenix down. And then there's a chair shot to the head.
That's like horrendous. Remember some of the ones Vince used to take, or the Shamrock one that he took for Rock? It was up there, I think. Yeah,
not nice. Not nice. I'm a bit more okay with like he's using the edge of the chair to bash down on the chest. We've got Fenix reversing Mil, putting his face into the railing, so he puts Mil's face into the railing. Fenix leaping off the guardrail, hits a stomp on Mil on the floor. The guys, the three guys, are kind of walking around the ring. It's said that they're all like following Katarina. We've got we hear, I think the commentators say that Dario Cueto has told the ref to just basically let these two go. He's not going to call this off. We've got Mil leaping off the turnbuckle onto Fenix when he's on the floor. We get some use of the announce desk by Mil, which is funny. You get quite a different reaction from Striker and from Vampiro as you get when the announce desk comes into play in WWE.
I like it.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing? This guy, what are you doing? We're trying to broadcast here.
We're working here.
Aye.
There's more chair shots. I don't think there's any more horrible ones to the head. I don't think, but yeah, more chair shots. Then we've got Mil carrying Fenix up the temple stairs.
He's run up the stairs with him, and he's like in a fireman's cat. What an animal!
Fenix fights off the shoulders of Mil. But Mil now has Fenix in like a powerbomb position, and I've got in my notes, are they on top of Dario's office? We've got Katarina being a little bit of a menace. So obviously, storyline wise, she basically has control over everything that's going on here. And then we have Mil bombing Fenix through the office roof. We've got a well-earned, I would say, holy shit chant from the crowd here, because a part of the office roof just caves in and he goes through it. The ref is calling for the office door to be opened as Mil is walking back down the stairs. Katarina sends that trio into the office, and they bring back Mil, like holding him up above their heads as they're carrying him back.
Almost in like Jesus Christ pose.
Yeah, Kurt Angle would have walked right out of there. And then they basically just put him back in the ring, feeding him back to Mil Muertes. Mil Muertes hits the flatliner and gets the win.
I don't think he needed the flatliner.
No, it wasn't needed. Katarina is absolutely delighted. Mil calls her into the ring, and she really savours the lick of death that is done on Fenix there. It's a long one.
She enjoys her job, and you have to admire that.
Yeah. And we then flash to Dario somewhere backstage with the crew, asking if they have anything to say, any excuses they want to give. Obviously, they've let him down in recent weeks. Dario says that someone has to pay and they have to choose. Now, it's quite brutal how quickly the other two members of the crew volunteer bail for this.
It is.
He's going to be the one that's going to have to pay. Dario orders them to hold him up against the bars, and Dario's brother, what's his name again?
Is it Matanza?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Something like that.
Is on the other side. And you get like these zombie films where human beings are like ripped apart, everything just kind of tears in this pool. It's kind of like that. That's what's going on here, up against the bars. And yeah, I mean that Matanza's just killed a guy.
What's he done? Ate him? Ate his face?
Maybe, yeah. There seemed to be a lot of blood on the go.
Aye, there definitely did. Poor Bale.
So yeah, Bale's gone.
He's dead.
And Dario asks if he has made himself clear, and the remaining two members of the crew give an emphatic yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's probably the only right answer in that situation. And that takes us to the end of episode 29.
The question is, if that's what he's done to Bale, who was a dangerous part of the crew, what is Black Lotus going to do when she's been trained by one of these guys that are like, you see them on social media and that, and they like tell people to imagine themselves punching somebody in the pit, and the other person like falls down.
Yeah.
She's gonna get eaten by Matanza.
I just there's some fights I think you just walk away, you just leave it, you just say, do you know what? It's not worth it.
I don't think Vampiro would agree with that.
Okay,
you're sounding a bit like Striker. Good episode, bad episode.
I mean, I did wonder with this what happened with Bale if that maybe was going a step too far. I enjoyed the title match. I think the matches at the title level have always tended to be pretty good. I enjoyed the match. I was a little bit surprised about some things that didn't happen, but I think I maybe got it in my mind. Hernandez is here to stay and be a top level player, but maybe it was just for that bit of storyline and we move on. And yeah, I'm very happy to see Mil back and doing what he does best, but again, not so sure about the three souls.
Stevie Wonders.
Wherever they were. Yeah.
I love that we've got Lucha Underground originals, and they're treated as big time players like Johnny Mundo and Prince Puma. I would say I put Cage in there, King Cuerno, and then you've had other guys that have come in and recognisable guys like Hernandez, like Del Rio, El Patron. They've not went straight to the top of the card.
Yeah.
I really actually appreciate that. I think there's something about getting invested in something like this that you get invested with the originals.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, we're going to episode 30, Submit to the Master.
Yeah.
That sounds like that would be like a new metal song from like 2004 or something.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, we're in Dario's office with Chavito. Chavo says that Black Lotus is here, and she's here to kill Dario's brother. She's been trained by you-know-who, and Dario looks absolutely terrified. It doesn't seem to be much that can scare him. He's a cheeky little bastard to most of these guys that are destroying people in the ring, but this seems to terrify him.
Yeah.
So they basically come to an agreement. Dario says, "Okay, what can I do? What would Chavo like to take care of her? He wants round-the-clock protection from Mexico, and if so, he'll take care of her." And Dario says, "Done. Easy." Puts his money away.
Did anyone believe for even a second that Chavo wasn't going to double-cross Black Lotus and, what was his name? Dragon Azteca?
Nice.
Dragon Azteca.
He's already got half of Mexico after him. I'm not sure why.
They didn't even lean into it. They didn't even have him be there for an episode just being all honourable or anything like that. Nah.
So it's just occurred to me that Dario then says to him, "But tell me, what do you really want?" Right? And it's now just occurred to me what it is that he really wanted and what it is that he got as a result of that conversation.
Okay. Yeah.
that shows how switched on I was watching these 4 episodes last night. But we'll get to that in episode 3.
It's interesting because I watched these ones quite early just because I had a lot happening the last few days. So it should all be really fresh in your mind, but maybe rushed. Whereas mine, I took my time, but it was ages.
Oh, you soaked it in.
Yeah.
It's marinated.
Mm-hmm.
Our next match, or our first match of this episode, Jack Evans versus Arhenis. A lot of these guys seem to be recovering from broken arms pretty quickly.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
which is impressive. There must be a bit of Aztec black magic on the go or something.
Very good doctors in the temple.
There you go. Yeah, and that's what the guys kind of come across like, sort of voodoo doctors. These Stevie, we kind of refer to them as Stevie Wonders.
Maybe they'll get a name at some point.
Maybe. So we've got this match set up. I do like how Jack Evans comes out in his hands doing that thing. That's quite entertaining. Dario emerges from his office and basically says, Arhenis, nobody cares about you. And he says, Jack Evans, you've only had one match here, but you got beat. Nobody's really that interested in you either, so let's make this match a bit more entertaining and let's have it for one of the 7 Aztec medallions.
I feel like we're watering down the importance of these medallions by having one at stake here.
A couple of shires fight for it. The thing is, the last person to win an Aztec medallion just got absolutely decapitated in a death match. So
yeah.
We're told during this match that Jack Evans was trained in the Heart Dungeons.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Stu watching Lucha Underground, can you?
No, I can't imagine him spending any time on Jack Evans.
I imagine they're all like lying about stretching each other and he comes in on his hands doing this handstand nonsense. I can't see it lasting.
No.
I'd love to hear Brett's views on Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
I quite like. Maybe walking back my views on this Jack Evans. I quite enjoyed this match. Actually, it was all right. I'm
not sure because I think he nearly killed the ref with a head kick that seemed to get a wee bit away from him.
He kind of used the ref to like sort of 619 round him.
Yeah, he did.
Sort of thing. But the way that he won it, I'd never seen before. He did like a backslide pin and then bent himself. The way that the body doesn't go.
Yeah.
Really hard to explain, but he sort of did like a backslide pin and then let his legs continue over, like he was in a crab, and there's no way for Arhenis to get out of that. So a nice win for Jack Evans. And do we see him getting the medallion, or do we just assume that he's...
I don't have anything in my notes about that.
So it takes us to the locker room. We've got the Golden Warrior, Davari, and he's quite a strange character. He's obviously got Big Rick's ear and sort of loyalty because he's paying him, but he's like talking to Big Rick like he's his best. Like he's like, hey, great news! We've got a trios title match. I just imagine Big Rick being like slamming him against the lockers, sort of thing. But all they need is one more partner, and they'll have a trios titles match. Big Rick says he can ask his cousin, who just so happens to be standing about in his pants right next to him.
Right there in his pants.
But Cage appears and he says, nah, that's no happening on my watch. I want to be involved in this. And then Mac and Cage cut off to a video game fighting scene, which was so weird. And like they were like locking up, and it was like stopping and boom, and then starting again and boom, 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 boom. Yeah. It was odd, wasn't it? We'd never seen that before.
It was kind of like, so I think they have lead into things in this in the past, but in a different way. So like if they've been doing a video package to promote somebody coming in or something like that, but not in what is just perceived as a backstage, like locker room interaction. It seemed strange there.
And this was the episode that I was talking about, and I felt, oh no. and we've liked a lot of the campy stuff.
Yeah.
It's been fun. But this felt like somebody else was directing this episode, and the same person's been doing the whole season, and then maybe he was off sick, so they got like Quentin Tarantino's like daft cousin to come and do this episode. So they have this sort of cinematic fight, and it ends up with Cage slamming Mac on some overturned lockers, and he'll be taking that place in the Trios titles match. Cage, Daivari, and Big Rick.
It looked like Big Rick was going to step in at a point in time, but Daivari was like, nah, just let them fight, because whoever wins this is joining us.
Surprising, because Big Rick doesn't seem like the loyal family guy.
No.
We go to another different area of the locker room. We've got the same person clearly directed this as well. We've got Chavo with Black Lotus. She's got a match tonight, he tells her, and as she turns her back, he goes to hit her, but she has got eyes on the back of her head clearly, and she just goes into some camp Matrix fighting styles and just beats him up. The crew try and help him. She knocks the shit out of the two of them, and eventually Chavo's able to overpower her whilst she's fighting the crew. But this is all very bizarre.
Yeah,
and
it's like,
can't ever fight like that in the ring.
It's like sort of comic book style.
Yeah,
that whole back-to-back double segment bit, which is odd.
It's just a bit like, did I have something strange for my dinner and now I'm seeing weird things?
Maybe you are right though. Maybe somebody else was running this episode or something.
Because it does feel like that, because then the next episode we go back and we just get back to normal Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
But anyway, Chavo leads her away in handcuffs. We get to our Trios title match. Daivari, Big Rick and Cage taking on the love triangle of Angelico, Ivelisse and Son of Havoc. Right off the bat, Vampiro is really quite annoyed at the fact that Big Rick is smoking and Daivari is drinking.
Yeah, he's furious.
Don't know what that's all about. We've got Ivelisse still on crutches, so she's still not able to take part in the match, pretty much. She is trying to get in the match, so which is really confusing, much to Vampiro's annoyance, who keeps talking about waking up to that voice a little too much. Yeah. She eventually ends up going sitting in the front row again, next to someone in the crowd. We got a nice wee sequence where I think it was, is it Big Rick has got Angelico up in like a standing suplex, and he tags Cage in and then passes him over, still in the suplex position. Cage does his squats with him in the suplex position and drops him. Unbelievable. Angelico's a big guy. Yeah. I've got in here in my notes here that surely at some point Big Rick deserves some gold. Some of his work's deserving of it, I think. Do you agree with that or no?
Maybe. I don't know if I don't know if he needs it. I don't think he needs it. I think he can just be Big Rick. But yeah, do you know what's funny? In every match the Love Triangle team have, I start off assuming this is the end of their title reign.
Yep.
And then I find myself getting sucked in and I want them to retain.
Brilliant. This one especially, I thought, they're especially fighting with each other. I thought after the last match they kind of come together a bit, but they're really bickering. And Angelico and Son of Havoc are tagging each other, like basically forearming each other on the back.
Yep.
Ivelisse has just jacked it in and went and sat in the front row, but somehow they still manage, with a little help from Tejano, who has still got his vendetta against Daivari. Daivari absolutely decks Ivelisse at one point.
He does, yeah.
She climbs up on the apron. That's when Tejano appears and smacks him.
Yeah.
Angelico does this crazy corner to corner dive over the ring pole. I think he at least nicks the ring pole on his way over it.
Yeah.
I think he takes out Big Rick, and Son of Havoc hits his shooting star press on Daivari.
Yeah.
To retain.
Yeah.
The Son of Havoc love goes on.
just keeps going. You know what's funny? I was thinking this with the Tejano interference here, is when he came in, he's obviously followed Alberto El Patron here, and we hear about their history, but he's very much like positioned as being the heel in that scenario, and then he's teamed with some other heels and things like that, and then here because it's Duvari he's going after, he's coming across as the babyface. But I don't think they're as worried about things like that. I think they're very happy for, say, like probably quite a significant percentage of their roster to live in a grey area.
Aye.
Obviously you've got Prince Puma, who is a babyface, but it isn't black and white in terms of the way that they're doing it. But I really don't think that they have any desire for it to be close to being black and white. Neither they should, because life is made up of the grey areas.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting how depending on what scenario they put somebody in, they don't have to do anything overly different to go from being booed to being cheered.
I think people are reacting to their situations that they're in, like you say, and like that's exactly what Tejano has done with that guy, just sort of getting in his way, and that was it. But this guy's such a dick that he comes across like Tejano comes across like the babyface.
Yeah. And you want Duvari to get his ass kicked.
Aye. And then you've got Pentagon breaking people's arms, and like he attacked Melissa Santos, the ring announcer, and people are just like Zero Miedo and going crazy when he comes out.
Every moment apart from going after Melissa Santos, I just can't quite work out how that didn't turn it completely. But it didn't. He got some heat for it, but he recovered from it.
Yeah. Okay, right, we're in Dario's office. Chavo and the crew bring in a handcuffed and gagged Black Lotus. Dario is delighted. He says he had a spot picked out for her right across from his brother, so that he never gets lonely again.
That's
He's
some
not
dark
sitting
shit.
playing with the bones of Bale.
Yeah.
This episode is something else. It really is. And that takes us to our main event, which is a submission match between Sexy Star and Pentagon Jr. And this was what I was here for. This is what has been my destination for this series. I want Sexy Star's arm to get broken by Pentagon Jr. So, this match was... This match actually... I don't... Hold on. Let me start again. Like I don't like Sexy Star, but I can appreciate the role she's playing. This underdog story. Pentagon was like so brutal in this match. He's just, we say it every time, he's just running up and smacking her, kicking her, volleying her, chopping her on the chest. Like anything he's doing to her is brutal. But she still keeps fighting back.
Yeah.
Valiantly. Not just like, oh, I don't believe she can do it. It's not like, spinning round and round doing flying head scissors and it's all Pentagon doing the work. Like, she does really good work in this match. I'm really, really impressed. And I was almost at a point where I was like, she deserves to win this match. So I got sucked in by it. I don't know if I don't know what
I think I was ready for her to get her arm broken.
Oh, were you? That's so funny. Vampiro, at one point he's talking about like, he does that thing again. He's like slagging Sexy off. That's a weird sentence. And, like being like, Pentagon's amazing. And then he's like, man, you really have to admire her. My 14-year-old daughter is such a huge fan of Sexy. And it's like, but you've just...
Yeah. It's funny because he clearly, what came across is when Pentagon was doing a lot of his arm break spiel, Vampiro was happy with it. He was there for it. He liked the ruthless streak. And then he didn't approve of the Melissa Santos arm break attempt. That's fine. That is not an in-ring performer. I can understand that one. He seems a bit conflicted in terms of what he wants to happen here, because he talks about, feeling bad for her in the position she's in, because he doesn't think that this should be happening. But then, because Stryker's actually playing the way, she signed up for the match. She wouldn't want your sympathy. She wants to be in this match. But yeah, he's definitely, he goes back and forth a lot on things. Like you say, it's maybe the first time I've heard him doing announcing like the way his interviews seem to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a little all over the place, but I suppose it's the story's playing out in front of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a couple of times where Penta just kicks her in the head and it looks so brutal.
Yeah.
She eventually somehow... what about that submission he has where he's just standing up and he's got her in a sort of tombstone position?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's just like manipulating her legs and all that. It looks brutal. Yeah. But she continues to fight back. There's no give up in her. She puts a single leg Boston Crab on, and at this point you kind of think that this might actually end up going her way. But then Superfly arrives in the ring, half his face painted. He attacks Sexy Star and gets her off Pentagon. He allows Pentagon to. He throws her into the pile driver position on Pentagon. He hits the package pile driver. He puts her into a surfboard and she's like screaming.
Yeah.
And she submits. And that was pretty disappointing. That's a disappointing finish to me. I didn't need Superfly.
No. I mean, I think had her, fight on valiantly, maybe him look like he may have lost, like maybe about to tap out and then eventually get the better of her or something like that. I think the story you'd be telling through that is fine. I don't think you needed the Superfly turn on Sexy Star.
Yeah, agreed. Pentagon looks to take advantage of this. He's going to go and break her arm. But Vampiro again, he's not having any of it. He in this time, he doesn't just get to the stairs and looking in the ring, he gets in the ring and breaks it up. He pushes Pentagon off. Pentagon turns round and looks like he's going to hit whoever did it. Sees it's Vampiro and puts his arm down by his side. Vampiro ducks out the ring and leaves and goes down the aisle towards the locker room. And then we get this really cool cinematic type scene with Vampiro. He's stood in the toilets and he's staring in the mirror, and we get little snippets of different little pieces of commentary said, and it's all like fuzzy and all that, and it's like we're peering into the mind of Vampiro. He's staring in the mirror and he just starts headbutting it over and over and over again.
A lot of the stuff was the stuff that he talked about at times about having to go to very dark places in his career and things like that. A lot of the stuff we hear in the little snippets of commentary and things like that. So yeah. I thought it was going full Twin Peaks here.
I really that's a really good, yeah. That's a good comparison. Sometimes with some of the stuff that we see in this.
Yeah,
as we could do with some of that sort of jazzy music actually. Sometimes when Dario's like going about different rooms.
Oh, yeah, that would suit his office. Just that playing. Yeah.
I really like that stuff with Vampiro. I thought that was good. I just wonder what happens if. Do you think he starts fighting? Surely no.
I'd be surprised if he had a match, but I wouldn't be surprised if. Well, we talked before about who the master was that Pentagon was making his sacrifices to and stuff like that, and speculated. I think it maybe is Vampiro, but if it is him, obviously there's a line that he doesn't appreciate being crossed, and I don't know if things are going to come to a head or whether he is just going to embrace where Pentagon has gone to and go fully dark, and will he just keep on as an announcer when he's doing that? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
What about the rest of the episode? Is there bits and pieces you liked or disliked? Obviously talked about the cinematic, comic booky fighting stuff.
Yeah, I would say it wasn't my favourite episode. I didn't, I probably didn't get fully into the first two matches. I always feel a little bit emotionally involved in the trios with the love triangle. I couldn't really get into the Jack Evans Argenis match. It was just kind of there for me. And I think I maybe would have enjoyed the submission match if it wasn't for the Superfly.
Me too. Sort of dragged the air out of the room for me a bit, and it's just a bit like, oh, what? But
yeah, nice little wrinkle with Vampiro and where we went with him. Because it makes me just curious about, what is the long term? What's Vampiro's role, and how's that all going to play out? So yeah, but in terms of in-ring matches, it wasn't one of the best ones, I didn't think.
Okay, episode 31 is called The Desolation of Drago.
Yes. Okay, so we get the recap of where we're at with Black Lotus, with Chavo and Dario, and the crew. We get a recap as well of Drago leaving the temple in what I've decided to describe it as a wall of fire.
Oh.
And then I've got, is that Drago? Yes, that's Drago. On the building with wings leaping off.
That wasn't Drago.
That wasn't Drago.
It was the monster for Jeepers Creepers.
I didn't see the van. He's been away less time than Ric Flair after his fifth retirement. We've got Vampiro apologising for getting in the ring last week, saying, he knows he shouldn't be doing that. His job there is as an announcer. He shouldn't be getting himself physically involved in situations. Seems to have calmed down a little bit from his events of last week. We have Dario with a mic, and he is talking about an event, a spectacle coming up called Ultima Lucha. Is that the last episode we're going to get of the season?
Last two episodes are Ultima Lucha.
Yeah. This will be an annual event with amazing matches, and tonight they will determine the top contender for the title at Ultima Lucha. He wants someone who has competed with Prince Puma for the title before. He reels off some names: Hernandez, King Cuerno, Cage. He mentions Phoenix, but I think he says, no, Phoenix is out.
No, he's dead.
Yeah. I'm like, just put Mil in. Just put him in his place.
That's what I've got in my notes. Why the fuck would they not be mentioning Mil? But I don't think I didn't think I appreciated that it was people that had previously fought Puma.
We get Blue Demon Jr. Introduced as returning to the temple for Ultima Lucha, and he comes out. Dario wants him to have a warm-up match tonight, and it's going to be against Chavo. So we know the history of these two. Chavo, this is how he ended up getting in the bad books of the whole of Mexico in the first instance.
Yep.
Was his turn on Blue Demon. Blue Demon walks out. He's in a suit. He's not looking ready to have his match, but he's gonna, and it's gonna be right now.
He looks incredible.
So Blue Demon against Chavo, and Chavo has his backup with him. So the deck is pretty stacked. The two surviving members of the crew.
Chavo with the crew looks good.
Yeah, that works. Yeah. Blue Demon is starting this match okay, but he's soon just getting beat down on the outside. Chavo very much directing the crew, telling them what he wants them to do. Chavo kendo. I've got a technical term here. I think kendo sticks him to fuck. Despite Blue Demon trying to fight back. Matt Striker is absolutely disgusted by this happening to a legend, but Vampiro is absolutely healing out for this.
I'm happy.
Yeah. So much as, Vampiro's done his little spiel at the start of this episode about, I'm sorry, it's not my role, I'm back, just in the seat. I think maybe Vampiro is permanently changed.
He's quite a conflicted man.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm happy. I want him to get his ass beat.
Yeah. Basically, we've got a gang beat down here that ends with Chavo hitting a frog splash while the members of the crew hold Blue Demon in place, and Chavo gets the win.
So when Chavo was talking to Dario in his office, that was what he wanted, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. I'm glad I was able to put that together. That subtle storytelling.
Mm-hmm. Now, has it already been mentioned here? No. Okay. So Black Lotus is having a go at Chavo for what he did and says El Dragon Azteca will come for him. But Chavo says he don't mind. He's basically untouchable now. That's the way he sees things. We have Drago accosting Dario in the toilets and saying that he should be in the match to determine number one contender.
That's not what he said.
Well, what is it he says?
Yeah, put the cookie down! Why is he sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Had we heard him speak much before?
That's the first time he spoke.
So
you could honestly, if I'd walked in the room and never seen that before, I'd be like, "Oh, why is that guy doing an Arnie impression?"
So basically, because all the people that have faced Prince Puma for the title before are going into this match to become the number one contender, he's found a little bit of a loophole here as the banished Drago. And I think Dario kind of reluctantly respects that. And Dario says Drago must win. So Drago wants Hernandez, basically, because Hernandez obviously played a role in the Drago losing his title match and being banished. So Dario says that Drago must win the match. If he doesn't, he'll not only be banished, but he'll lose his mask. Drago accepts the challenge. So Drago's back, maybe for one night only.
What a set of cojones Dario's got to stand there to a man that can breathe fire and talks like Arnie and tell him that he'll be losing his mask if he doesn't win. I
can't really picture Drago without a mask, so there's only one way this is going to go. We are going to have the three guys, Katrina's three guys, who now seem to have the name of the Disciples of Death, who are going to be, they're going to go into a tag match here against Mascarita Sagrada, Pimpinela, and Bengala. Now,
Magical Mr. Mistopheles.
Bengala is a guy who is basically a Bengal cat.
Like identifies as a...
Well, I mean, I don't know him personally.
Right, okay.
But yeah, so this is obviously our first time seeing Bengala.
Are Bengal cats white? No, I don't mean like... His mask is all like white, like a polar bear.
Yeah, you more think of the sort of orange and black, don't you? Yeah. Oh. There's... what have I got? Some weird stuff going on with the electricity on the entrance. This is the Disciples of Death entrance.
I was looking at Katrina.
Well, yeah, so they were following her every move, and clearly so were you. So that's fair. Yeah, no judgment here.
Okay.
This is, I think maybe Pimpinela might be the only person that's properly sold this arm break situation, because we haven't seen Pimpy very very regularly.
No, we've not. No.
And I feel like it's maybe the first time we've seen Mascarita Sagrada for a while as well.
Yeah.
So we've got
sort of leaning into the Twin Peaks theme with Mascarito coming in there.
Yeah. We get our first sight of Bengala, who, according to my notes, I've just written, who seems to be a cat.
He's quite tubby.
Yeah. I've also got in my notes that I fear Katerina has recruited a bunch of duds. These guys are getting their asses kicked.
Can I tell you who's under the masks?
Oh yeah, go for it. I've not looked anything up.
Argenis.
Right.
El Mariachi Loco.
Okay.
And Ricky fucking Mandel.
Oh, come on. If Katerina walks into a bar to try and recruit some guy, she's doing better than that.
I agree.
Everyone's putting their hand up.
But if they'd put a mask on Big Rick, we'd have noticed.
That's true. That's true. And if it was, the Mac, just with a mask on and pants.
Just his pants.
Yeah. But at a point in the match, Katarina seems to have just decided that's enough, and that's enough of the messing around, and now the Disciples of Death are completely dominating. Again, Vampiro is loving it. He's definitely showing some heel tendencies on commentary
laughing.
here. Yeah.
Like, Mascarito Sagrada gets punched in the face, he starts laughing.
Yeah. The match is a bit of a mess, to be honest. We get the Disciples of Death raise Bengala, and one comes off the ropes with a springboard dropkick. Pimpinela's heads down on the rope. Katarina gives him a big lick and he's toast. And I'm calling them DOD now here by the looks of it.
Like it.
The DOD hit a 3-man flapjack style move on Pimpinela and get the pin to win.
Your notes are slightly different from mine. Can I tell you what mine says?
Mm-hmm.
Katrina gives Pimpy the lick of death and he gets dominated by 3 men at once, possibly not for the first time.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, the DOD have a debut win, despite maybe not really impressing.
I don't want to see them very much.
Nah,
they're not good.
We've got Johnny Mundo going to see Dario and wants to know why he isn't in the number 1 contenders match. Dario says he isn't one to hold grudges, and only tried to destroy Johnny in the early stages for business. But what Johnny did to Alberto made Dario realise that he is the future of Lucha Underground. He wants this new version of Johnny to be unleashed on Prince Puma. So he says there's none of this number 1 contender match for you. Instead of this, next week, it'll be Prince Puma against Johnny Mundo in a match that will run for the entire length of the show. Most falls by the end of the night will be the champion. Johnny is absolutely delighted with this.
He says he's the best. He might be the best boss he's ever had.
Yeah. He's changed. We are going into our Fatal 4-Way to be the number 1 contender for the title. That is going to be Cage against King Cuerno, against Hernandez, against Drago.
Do you feel like we've had this match before?
I think I was fairly optimistic for it, although I did have the feeling that a Drago win was inevitable.
Yeah, you just can't see him without his mask on, can you?
No. He's also he gets quite a reaction from the crowd. He's quite over with them. I'm just not sure about the tongue.
Nobody is. It'd be class if they'd booed him and been like, he's banished. He lost to Prince Puma fair and square.
He used a loophole. He took advantage of a loophole to get back in. Get a reminder that Dario has ordered that if Drago loses, not only will he be re-banished, but he must also unmask. Drago really hasn't had the best shakeout from these Dario deals so far. They kind of pair off early on with Hernandez and Cage basically going up against each other, and King Cuerno and Drago going up against each other. We get some. I quite like the interactions with Hernandez and Cage. I feel like that's a singles match. I would be happy to watch. A springboard tackle by Hernandez. He's just like a one-man missile. And then Cage just starts absolutely kicking ass. We get little hints at the teamwork that we've seen in the past between Cage and King Cuerno, but it's a little bit fractious. Like when we've seen it in the past, I think there's now the realization that only one of them can win this match. Talk about a little bit of psychology that maybe you can incapacitate the other two and then just fight between you. I think that what they are quite good at here, and I think we've seen this in other multi-person matches, is trying to keep it limited what's actually going on in the ring, which helps in terms of just trying to follow it. Cage and Cuerno off the top onto Hernandez. Drago leaps off the top. Cuerno moves. Hernandez catches 3 splashes in a row. We get a nice combination powerbomb by Cuerno into a lung blower by Cage, all on the unfortunate Drago. Things start to get a bit heated between Cage and Cuerno. Cage catches and just kind of throws Drago while maintaining eye contact with King Cuerno.
Class.
Hernandez taking advantage of the two of them being distracted by each other. And then we notice that Killshot is there watching from afar. I'm trying to figure out who he's watching. I think it's King Cuerno. Get a moonsault by Cage and then a stomp by Cuerno. Cage blocks a Hernandez run and dive with a forearm shot, but Hernandez makes the leap. And then Cage is kind of indicating he's going to fly. Back flip, leap off the top by Cage.
So he is a rough landing.
Yeah.
He bounces off the mat.
It was a bad landing. We get King Cuerno pointing at Killshot and then hitting a suicide dive. Sunset flip on the apron takes Hernandez down hard onto the floor. We have Drago getting his tail of the scorpion pinning combination on King Cuerno to get the win. So Drago will keep his match and will get the title shot at, was it Ultima Lucha? Is that what it is?
Is this the first time we've saw him spit mist?
I think it was, yeah.
Always a fan of that.
Yeah. We get Prince Puma coming down and he seems to be nodding approval at Drago. Then they face off. So Prince Puma always had this feeling, I think, of a little bit of guilt that he was involved in the match that led to the banishment of Drago, especially when he realised there was interference by Hernandez that contributed to it. So we're going to go back into Dario's office again, though. We are going to get some more of these mind games by Katarina. Now, I can't figure out if she's actually meant to be being there doing it, or if it's all kind of in Dario's mind.
It's like a Tyler Durden situation.
We've probably all sat back for a minute and, Katarina will cross our mind and, it's maybe just what's happening with Dario. But she's never whispered this to me in my imagination, but she wants Mil to be in the match. And it kind of looks like, is she going to kill Dario?
Yeah, she's got him by the collar, she's choking him.
Yeah. Dario didn't know Mil wanted to be champion. Dario says in 2 weeks they can do Drago against Mil and the winner will face the champion at Ultima Lucha.
Oh, yes.
She says that Dario's monster is no match for Mil Muertes.
Oof. True. Possibly true. I mean, we've never seen Mil eat the face off somebody, I suppose.
Well, not yet. So we're potentially, I mean, poor Drago, he's just earned the right, and I'm starting to think that might be taken away from him here. But he's back in the temple, that's the main thing.
If we go this whole season with Prince Puma keeping the title until the last episode and then Mil Muertes wins it, I'll be a happy man.
I'm now thinking there's a chance. Let's see what happens when he faces Drago.
Okay, I think he'll beat Drago. And so do you. Okay, let's take a deep breath before we go into this next episode. This is the highest. This episode, last one, is episode 32. It's called All Night Long. It's the highest rated, according to IMDb, of the season. It's a fantastic concept for a match. We've spoke before about how much we like this 45-minute TV show concept anyway.
Yeah.
To say that for the whole match, for the whole show, it's this match, and whoever's got the most wins, submissions, pins by the end of it is the winner. Amazing. Yeah. The word Iron Man is not mentioned. Love that.
Yeah.
Not even by the commentators or anything. So, I think before we try and describe it, I wondered how this might go. WrestleMania 12, and you were like 6 minutes into it, and we're getting quite a lot of standing sleeper holds, and we didn't really get that here. I think we get a different way of doing it and getting around it, which plays into the storyline. But people that say that like Ricochet and John Morrison kind of put on a match that's a storyline are dead wrong, proven by this.
Yeah.
It's action-packed. It's pretty much non-stop. There's character work throughout it. There's big spots. And there's like really good technical wrestling as well.
Mm-hmm. There's good psychology in terms of the match type and structure and the idea of defending a lead, which I hadn't seen before. I wouldn't have seen that many Iron Man matches. Obviously, there's Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, where theirs is a very specific take on it, and it's good. It's it's very engaging as a match, even though it has its peaks and its troughs. But I've got one in mind. I think it was maybe Triple H and The Rock. I think had one.
Yeah, we've covered that one. I think.
Yeah, which I think was quite entertaining as well. But I don't know that I've found one that I found as engaging as this. I thought this was excellent.
They're using the whole arena, the whole temple.
Yeah.
They're using the whole temple. And yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there with, let's go through a bit. Johnny gets up to a certain point and he's playing time, but not in I'm going to hold you and run the clock down sort of thing. He's just like, nah, I'm winning 4-1. I'm staying away from you.
Yeah.
I'll just go into the crowd.
Yeah.
It's class.
Yeah.
Anyway, as they start, they share a handshake and a word, and these two have been intrinsically linked pretty much this whole season.
Yeah.
It seems right that these are the two that are doing this. For us, Vampiro says these two have got enough gasoline in the tank to fly around the world 100 million times. I really like that.
Yep.
They do start relatively tentatively in that it's quite a lot of map-based wrestling. It's quite appreciative of that. It's some good stuff that they were doing. Eventually, about 8 minutes into it, Puma breaks out the corkscrew splash over the top rope, and basically from there, it just keeps on going. It doesn't stop. We get a really cool first fall win for Prince Puma to go 1-0 up. He does a cool roll up on Johnny Mundo.
Yeah.
I thought this was the match that we've seen where Prince Puma was in the driving seat for quite a lot of the match. He normally takes a bit of a beat down and fights from underneath.
Yeah.
Here he was on top for a good portion of the match. We had Johnny trying to work a little bit on the arm of Prince Puma, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just you can't go move by move with this because there's just so much. We get a funny fall for Johnny Mundo. What did you think of this? Because he clearly cheats. He uses the ropes.
Yeah.
They're playing it off like the ref can't see it, but I think he's like in plain day sight of the referee.
Yeah, it was probably the only thing that I didn't like about a lot about the match. Because it's fine. He's basically he's gone. I think to go up the ropes to go for the end of the world. And Prince Puma grabs his foot, stop him from climbing the ropes. And Johnny basically just puts himself down them, so he's holding the shoulders down. And he's holding on to the ropes quite blatantly. But it's actually impossible for the referee is to imagine that he
needs to look at the guy's shoulders, eh?
Yeah.
Probably a little mistake there.
Yeah.
We get them out in the apron. I think Puma hits a Hurricane Rana off the apron. It looked like a really brutal landing for both of them.
Yeah.
We get Puma doing a sort of Michinoku driver onto like a wooden box.
Yeah, that's just under the ring.
Yeah. It's at this point Vampiro's getting so excited. He says, I really want to hit someone with a chair. This takes a hell of a turn now as Johnny Mundo finds a crowbar under the ring and he swings it like a baseball bat and just like levels Puma. Puma sells it like absolute death, which I loved.
Yeah.
He was done. He was out.
The way his body just kind of went limp.
Aye.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So Mundo rolls him in. He gets pinned 2-1. Pretty much as soon as the referee's counted to 3, he picks him up, does another move, Moonlight Driver, they call it, and pins him again, 3-1. Smart. How often do we not see people do things like that?
Yep.
He gets up, he's 3-1 up, he hits a springboard kick, which, at this point, Prince Puma is barely able to get to his feet, and he just walks straight into this kick, and he gets pinned again, 4-1 to Johnny Mundo. Again, like I said, Puma is selling all these moves and all that. He's selling them at absolute death. I love it.
Yeah.
Johnny stops for a water break. He's shouting at somebody at the crowd to get him a bottle of water. And it slows down a little here, but in an entertaining way of Johnny. He's 4-1 up. He's got nowhere to be. He can take his time. We get Puma kind of trying to fight from underneath, but he's really selling that he's taking a beating. We get Johnny slamming Puma's neck, the back of his neck, down onto the apron, right in the corner of the apron. That looked a sore one as well.
Yeah.
It is at this point Johnny brings out like just the world's largest ladder.
Yeah.
It's like, I suppose the only way is to compare it to the one that Jeff Hardy brings out. Was it a TLC that he had, the really massive one? Johnny sets up a couple of tables. They fight up into the crowd. I think Johnny's trying to suplex him out of the crowd through these tables, but he doesn't quite manage it. We get Puma finally fighting back, and he gets on top. And he uses this to his advantage by going and setting up a few more tables.
Yeah.
So much like in the Royal Rumble 2000 with the Dudleys and the Hardys, we get 4 tables set up on top of each other.
Yeah.
So we know somebody's going through them, but it's just a matter of time as to who it is. Where do we go from here? Johnny fights back, and he climbs up onto the stage where the band normally are that kick off the show. And he's just like tells the band to start playing a song. He's like, hey, come on, I'm winning 4-1 here. Play me a song, to which they do. Which sort of adds to the craziness of what's all going on.
I like that.
Puma climbs up the wall, basically, to the bandstand, and Johnny's in a sort of Scar and Mufasa position that he's feeling very, very confident, but he's unaware that Prince Puma's got a 2x4 and he cracks Johnny in the head with it. Puma then grabs a guitar and, in a dedication to Jeff Jarrett, slams it over his head.
Absolutely. Yep.
It didn't look like it broke up very well at all.
Not quite as easy as those ones used to anyway.
Then we get, as he's hit him with that guitar, Puma just sort of goes, fuck it, and spears him off the band stage. They go down, flying towards the floor, and go flying through the 4 tables. These tables just disintegrate completely, and it's quite an incredible image that conjures up of them going flying through. It's unbelievable. And I think that's the first time we've ever had an instant replay in Lucha Underground.
Right.
Somehow, some way, Puma gets him back to the ring and gets a pin back. 4-2. He gets him up again, hits a spinning driver type maneuver, almost like a spinning tombstone type thing, and he gets another pin, 4-3. Things are getting incredibly interesting. It's at this point that the entertainment value starts kicking up, because Johnny realises what's going on now. It's getting a little bit too close for comfort. He just starts bailing out the ring. Puma comes out the ring, he runs back in the ring. He's running round the crowd. He's in amongst the crowd. He hides behind Vampiro.
Just trying for separation.
That's amazing. like you say, you've never really seen anybody do it.
No.
I suppose probably because they would have been counted out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But eventually Puma manages to get his hands on him, gets him back in the ring, goes for a huge splash, but unfortunately he misses, and this gives Johnny the chance to bail out again. He goes away up the concrete stairs in amongst the believers, and he's sort of lording it up the top of the stairs there. From there, all you hear is Vampiro going, "Who's this?" And like a steam train coming flying past him, Alberto El Patron appears and just beats the shit out of Johnny and kicks him down all the way down the stairs. He follows him down, hits a DDT on the outside and throws him back into Puma. Puma takes advantage, hits his 450, springboard 450, and they're all even at 4-all.
Yep.
There's that. We've watched matches like this before. I'm thinking of, was it Steve Austin, Stan and Steve Austin? Was it against Dustin Rhodes?
Yes.
And it was just so clear that they were going towards the time limit.
Yeah.
And it just feels really contrived. And we've seen that a lot of times in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think with this, it's went from 4-1 to 4-all, and yes, there's maybe about a minute and a half to go, but you still have no idea what's going to happen.
No. Yeah.
Alberto grabs the mic. He says him and Johnny are far from even after what he did to him, putting him through Dario's office window. He says if Johnny manages to somehow walk away with the title, he's going to kick his ass. But if Puma, if it's you, I'm coming for you, but you already knew that.
I think I've got in my notes, I wonder what happens if it's a draw, because I started thinking, what would they do? Would it just be called a draw? But I think Matt Striker says at a point that he knows that Dario will definitely not let this end in a tie. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking it'd be overtime, I assume, or be next fall wins if they were even.
Right. They go into this really, really fast routine of quick roll-ups, small packages, just by any means grabbing each other to try and get...
Kind of like desperation is set in for them. Yeah.
Getting some really quick 2 counts, lots of close pins. We get Johnny. At this point, they've wrestled for about 40 minutes. He does a standing Spanish fly. It's unbelievable. It looks amazing. Gets such a close 2 count. Here's something that I've never seen before. Johnny he's got him on the ropes. He's looking like he's going to hit him with a sort of Frankensteiner type maneuver, and Puma just sort of ducks out of it. All the way out of it, with 45 seconds to go on the clock. Johnny's taking a hell of a fall, going for that Hurricane Rana, which he's missed. Puma hits him with a drop kick, kicks him right into the corner, sets him up for goodness knows what he does, like a 900-degree splash or something.
Yeah.
And with 5 seconds left on the clock, Puma gets the 3 count to win 5-4. And the bell rings.
Yeah, that was good. And they got me. Because, see when it was 4-1 to Johnny, and Prince Puma seemed totally incapacitated. I think they had him basically struggling to get on his feet a few times. I created it in my mind how I thought this was going to go. I thought they're going to have Puma get it back really heroically to 4-3 and just run out of time or something like that. Right. And this is where the title change finally happens, and then Puma's chasing rather than holding the title. But I just thought when it went 4-all, I still didn't feel like I could call it, even though he'd heroically fought back. You're still sort of thinking, definitely still go either way with this.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And I think we knew Alberto El Patron would get involved because they showed the little recap of what had happened between Alberto and Johnny at the start of the episode, which is fine. I think Johnny had that coming. And it sort of lit a fire in the fans as well. When they love Alberto, and when he got involved, it just took it to the next level as far as the atmosphere. That was brilliant, really, really brilliant. I feel for Johnny Mundo. He's been in all these amazing matches, and just come so close, and you just wonder where they go with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose I don't fear it, because I feel like they're going to do that grudge match, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That seems inevitable, and he's a main event guy without being the champion. Like every match he's been in, not only has they been high quality, but they also they have that big match feel. It just feels like a top of the card match. He has his next bit of story laid out, like you say. He challenges Alberto. He blames Alberto for the situation and all that. It's all kind of right there. I've liked what they've done so far with his heel turn, because it's very easy to go, I think, from Johnny Mundo, the cocky, arrogant, good guy, to, with a tiny little bit of a twist, to Johnny Mundo, the cocky, arrogant prick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I didn't remember we talked about that sit-down interview you had with Vampiro.
Yeah.
And it didn't really hit. It came across very scripted WWE almost.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
I think he does a lot of his storytelling really well, in more in the backstage stuff and in the ring.
Yeah.
He's really good at that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not overly like, he's not giving it fuck the fans and you people or anything like that. He's just full of himself.
Yeah. It just works.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's not much more to say. That episode was truly amazing. If you love wrestling, that you could watch that without having watched any of Lucha Underground and being entertained by it. It's a standalone, really good wrestling match with a storyline involved in it. It makes it all the stronger.
Mm-hmm. And I think, again, we've seen their take on a cage match, a coffin match, now their take on a Iron Man type match. And they're all different enough to have made it fully their own thing, it feels 100%. Like, rather than a copy of somebody else's match.
Aye. Do you want me to tell you the names of the titles of our next 4 episodes? And then after that, we'll have 3 episodes left.
Exciting. So
we have got episode 33, Death versus the Dragon.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Episode 34, Gold and Guerreros.
Okay.
35, Fuel to the Fire.
Okay.
Don't know what that is. Are we getting a what do you call them? Inferno match? Surely
Inferno match? No.
And episode 36 is called The Beginning of the End.
Okay. Exciting.
And then the following 3 after that are Penultima Lucha, and then Ultima Lucha Part 1, Ultima Lucha Part 2.
Nice. Cool.
So we're going to come back next week and get into these ones, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because we fucking love it.
Just love it. Can't get enough.
And then we'll get into Penultimate Lucha. And we were talking about Series 2. Series 2 has only 26 episodes. And you'd confirmed that you were quite keen to crack on.
Yeah.
Did you think when you watched the first episode of this that we would be here at 39, or we're getting to 39, and did you think you'd be keen to watch another season?
Right at the start, probably not. That seemed very far away, and it would have been a very optimistic view on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think probably from about, once you get to like episode 12, and you're like, I'm into this. This is going well. I think I knew at that point we're going to go to the end of season 1, and I think certainly the last few episodes, I've had no real doubt in my mind that at some point we will definitely get to do season 2.
So, how WWE have acquired AAA?
Yeah.
What if WWE try and do like a Netflix Lucha Underground?
Oh, it'll be so shit.
Like all the walls are really clean and they've got like big LED screens on them. And You could see them trying to do something daft like that, though.
Yeah, you could. It's like, you know when, like, you get a really, really good Asian horror film, and then you hear that an American network's going to do a remake of it, and I'm not saying they're never any good, because I think was it Let the Right One In we watched, which was very good, both films.
Oh, both of them are good, aye.
Yeah, but more often than not,
aye.
They just don't get it. They just they strip away everything that makes it what it is, and that's what would happen with this.
I saw something because they had. I don't know if you saw that they had so many sort of Mexican, either based or nationality wrestlers at like a press conference or something like that. You know, they had Andrade, the both Phoenix, Pentagon. They've got King Cuerno. They've got a lot of different wrestlers that have come through AAA or whatever, and they were talking. I'm sure I've seen Triple H saying that Pentagon would be wrestling in Penta would be wrestling in AAA, and you just think, like, did they acquire all these wrestlers because of that? Do you think they did? Do you think they would have, or is this?
Know.
I think you didn't get many happy coincidences.
Yeah, so I've far more confidence that Triple H would be sold on somebody who has performed very well elsewhere to come in to WWE and make it as a star in that organisation than Vince ever would have had in that. So I don't think he really paid any attention to any wrestling worlds beyond WWE. But yeah, I mean, it would be disappointing in a way, because it feels, or it certainly felt and sounded like the sky may have been the limit for Pentagon in WWE, because I feel like they've been pushing him. So I'd be surprised if they said, right, so exclusively now he works in.
Here's all your Mexicans, we'll just chuck them on this now.
Yeah, I don't think they would quite go to that extent, but you know, the thing that saddens me about the whole thing is, I think what you want, if you want these totally independent organizations to be doing their thing. You don't want them to be micromanaged by another overarching organisation, because then you're just heading towards too many things feeling very samey. I hope that they allow it to be what it is and what's made it successful. And, you know, maybe they've just, the sort of the optimistic side of my brain thinks, well, maybe they've just done this because they want first pick of talent and they want the opportunity to put young talent in a place and say, let's see what you can do if we put you over there. Almost like, you know, feeder organisation type things. But yeah, I suppose that there is a risk that, basically, rather than have someone break out in Excel and, you know, headline a WrestleMania one day, they're like, well, actually, we just brought you in so that you can go and work in AAA. And then it feels like you're limiting what you're allowing that organisation to be on its own as well.
Yeah. And if somebody, let's take somebody that's on a lower point of a card, say I don't know, say Ray Phoenix. I'm trying to think of somebody that hasn't come from that background. Who would be someone like that maybe didn't get on WrestleMania? Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross goes AAA and he's suddenly AAA World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah.
That's totally different from Karrion Kross being released by WWE and becoming AAA champion. Yeah,
going and building himself like a Drew McIntyre did.
Aye. Yeah. Like what Cody did.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of dilutes, because you know that it's an internal working thing as opposed to a merited thing. Like you saw that thing saying that they'd released, or they were going to release, Alberto El Patron.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously a reputational and politic related issue rather than anything else.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Are we gonna end up with El Grande Americano as the AAA World Champion?
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me.
I did find him very entertaining. I like I forget his name.
Chad Gable.
Yeah, I've liked him as a worker in the bits and pieces that I've seen. And in my mind, this is so ridiculously over the top that I still find it entertaining, but there's a ceiling on that. You don't want to go too far with that.
Aye, exactly. And there's also a point at which you are just mocking Mexican culture.
Yeah.
And all that. Like, he needs to have his ass handed to him, and I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
But...
And then claim that it was never him. It was, yeah.
Nah, he is entertaining. The comparisons with Angle just continue with the sort of comedic stuff that he does, and obviously his in-ring work.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll see. I don't think we'll be getting JBL's favourite wrestler on.
Doesn't seem like it. It's a shame.
Maybe Tony Khan will pick him up.
Maybe.
I think Soraya or Paige or whatever she may be called now, she's left AEW now, so
that maybe opens up there. Yeah.
Well, we'll go and then we will reconvene next week. Cool. And we will get cracked back in it. Was there anything you wanted to anything that you particularly liked from WrestleMania or disliked?
I liked the storyline around the Saturday main event, the Paul Heyman with Roman Reigns, CM Punk and Seth Rollins. I thought, I wouldn't say it grabbed me immediately, like the build up to it and that being a main event didn't really grab me. And then as it drew closer and there's just little snippets out there and you could see that the story of the match was going to become about, well, who's Heyman with? And I thought they executed it well enough. It may have, for some people that read all, the websites, it may have felt a little bit obvious, the way it ended up being, but it didn't to me. So I was all right with that. I found myself really quite cheering for the surprise Io Sky win. I don't know why. I just felt, because they played the story as she was almost the irrelevant part in the match, and then I really wanted her to win.
That's funny you say that, because my kids really like her as well, and they were like that about her winning.
And the the Dom Mysterio moment. I mean, I wouldn't say he's the one I wanted coming out of that match with the title, but he's massively over with the crowd, the live crowd that were there. It was huge. So yeah, there were bits and pieces. I was as underwhelmed as many were by the Sunday night main event. Just didn't see the need for the way it happened. I probably, like I think I said to you, I think I would have wanted Cena to go over on his own. I was maybe in the minority. I didn't even feel the need for The Rock to turn up. I wanted him to go over on his own using some heelish tactics. And then kind of self-justifying that as, last chance, had to do what I had to do type thing. But yeah, it seems like it was a bit of a shit show all round, that one. But yeah, there were bits and pieces I didn't mind, but it didn't grab me as a mania I would ever go back and rewatch or anything like that.
I think they maybe need to keep Cena in like multi-man matches. I think he struggled, but I've not watched all. I liked Randy Orton and Joe Hendry. That was good fun.
It was what it needed to be.
Aye, 100%. It wasn't a squash, as I've seen people say. It was just a fun 3 to 5 minute match. He got plenty of offense in, and he got hit with an RKO from out of nowhere doing his daft pose. It's like perfect. But apart from that, I liked the triple threat match. I thought Seth Rollins was phenomenal in that triple threat match.
Yeah, it kind of felt like he carried it.
I never saw Logan Paul, AJ Styles. I never saw the Damian Priest stuff. So yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I could only really comment on that.
Okay.
that triple threat, but it was enjoyable. And I like that they seem to have recruited Braun Breaker to their little heel pack.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means him getting pushed into the main event scene, then I'm all for that.
Yeah. I kind of wondered if it was going to go down the route of a almost Evolution type stable, and you got a younger guy that's in there. I assume another may join them at some point.
Is Paul your Flair? Paul is your Flair, and Rollins is your Triple H, and Breaker's Batista.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Who's your Orton?
Yeah, I don't know who else you would put in that. I don't know if there is an obvious other one. But yeah, I've no issues with that from storyline point of view. I suppose I'm a little bit curious about what they do. I've kind of had an assumption that Cena will turn back babyface before his last match, but how that's all executed remains to be seen. But yeah, it just, I don't know. I remember, see when that moment happened where, the Cena turned on Cody. I felt like, oh, this is interesting, and then I felt like it just didn't take off from there. Even the stuff I heard about his promos and stuff like that, I don't know if any of that ever really grabbed me. So yeah, but I quite often, a lot of years, I tune out a little bit for a while, and let's see if the SummerSlam card grabs me.
I don't know if SummerSlam's 2 nights this year. I think it maybe is.
I think it is, yeah.
It's too much.
I don't know. It shouldn't be 2 nights. I totally understand it with WrestleMania now. Totally. I think it works, and it's better than, we were ending up with like 7-hour plus shows that you were trying to survive.
Imagine attending something like that. Totally.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm fine with WrestleMania being 2 nights, but it should be the only one that's 2 nights.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I can't escape it. Both my kids are just obsessed at the moment.
Okay.
So yeah, it's figures, it's computer, it's on Netflix at all times.
Those were the days, eh?
That's it, aye. Wonderful. It's really interesting to see, like, him going back. It's certainly my older one, watching like 2011-12, and it's like, yeah, these are some vintage matches, Dad.
How dare you?
I'll tell you, son, about a guy named Bret the Hitman Hart. Anyway, we'll go and we'll be back at it next week. But Adam, thank you for making 100 episodes become a real thing.
Yes, thank you for talking me into doing this. It's been fun.
It's been a wonderful thing. Almost 5 years of our life.
Oofed.
Right, you take it easy. We'll be back next week.
Cheers.